Welcome to Using Claude in just 12 minutes. I'm going to show you how to get set up and how to get on your way to becoming a power user. My name is Jam, and since 2023, I've been teaching non-technical small business owners how to use AI to make more money and save more time. I've been teaching people through score.org, the AO Fund, and multiple other nonprofits, and I travel the country every month teaching people this amazing tool called Claude. So today we're going to get into it, and I'm going to show you what you need to know, and I'm going to show you quick. First, what is Claude? Claude is a large language model, just like ChatGPT or Gemini. But the difference between those and Claude is Claude has a desktop version that you can download, and then it actually has access to your folders and files on your computer. Of course, you give it permission which ones it can see. It'll write with you, it'll read things for you, and it will remember who you are and your business. I think of it as the most brilliant new hire you've ever had. And pro tip, you're going to treat it just like a new hire. Over time, you're going to learn more about it as it learns more about you. You'll end up trusting it more and more every single day the more you use it. So don't get into this relationship with Claude and look at how a friend is using it who's been using it for years and you're just starting out. You're building your relationship with Claude, and it does take time. Make sure not to rush it. All right, so how do you use Claude and how do you get it? You're going to go to claude.ai and you're going to sign up. You can get the free account, but I highly suggest that you get the $20 a month one. It just gives you more access to the new features that will make it even more powerful. And also, if you're looking for privacy, when you get the paid account, you can turn off something called training mode, and then that way Anthropic, the owner of Claude, is not using your conversations to train the technology. So all you do is go to Claude AI in your browser and you'll just go ahead and set it up. Mine's already set up, obviously. And then to manage your account, I want you to click down on your name and you're going to go to settings. And from here, you're going to go ahead and download the desktop version. I've already done that, but I highly suggest you work in the desktop version of Claude at all times because that way you can manage your settings and connect it to your computer. So once it becomes a desktop, there's a little icon here. And now you can see I'm in the desktop version. So I'm just going to move my browser out of the way so that you don't think I'm using the browser. Move it down here. And so now I'm in the desktop browser. Now I'm in the desktop version. You can see here there's actually three different elements. There's chat, co-work, and code. Here's how I want you to think about these. Chat is the receptionist. You can have amazing conversations, you can talk about strategy, but you're not going to do the work with chat. You're just going to talk about the work. In co-work, this is more of the project manager. You can ask it to do work for you. You could do things like create a proposal based on the last Zoom call I had. I'm going to give you access to the transcript. You can go ahead and select the folder or file where that exists, and it'll just continue to work there. And finally, you have code. Code is your developer, and it can make web apps for you, it can make web pages for you, but it can also do the things that co-work and chat does as well. So you can have just conversations, you can have it write proposals, but Claude Code can actually build and deploy websites for you. Fun fact, my website, Jam AI, is completely built in Claude Code and it's managed in Claude Code. So every single day, it writes blogs for me every day. It updates when I have a new podcast or if I was a guest on a podcast. And if I want to make a new page, I simply just open up Claude and ask it to make that page for me. Once you have your account, the first thing that I want you to do is teach Claude who you are. So you can steal this prompt. You can say, I run so-and-so business, and here's what I do. My tone is XYZ. Always talk to me in plain English, no jargon, and keep my writing sounding like me. Okay, So, fun fact, in my Zero to Claude training, I take this even further and I'll show you how you can have Claude interview you so it knows everything about you as a person and then also your business. This has been so incredibly helpful. I've had people laugh and cry while they were taking this interview or survey. Just so you know, you can join Club Jam right now for free if you just click down below. Our free trial will end soon, so make sure you take advantage of that. And then another wow moment, something you can do, a week of content in 90 seconds. So you can say, here's an about page from my website, just simply paste in your about, write 5 Instagram captions for this week in my voice, and make them sound like me, not a robot. I bet you really want to do that, and I'm sure you've used AI to do something like this before. Where it gets really fun is in Club Jam, I will teach you how to actually make your own app where you can create amazing Instagram carousels, text on screen, and just more professional looking images using Claude Code. A really amazing thing is giving it your mess. So interestingly enough, I use this every day. I'll have it clean up files on my folder. I'll have it organize my desktop. Just this morning, I used ActiveCampaign for my emails and I kept uploading my contacts and it kept failing and I didn't know why. And it said, oh, obviously it's not working because your file structure is not right. Let me go fix that for you. And it went and it fixed my entire spreadsheet and all I had to do was re-upload it and it worked like a charm. Now here's where people oftentimes get stuck and have questions, and I'm excited to go over this with you on our call today. So you don't need 2 accounts for Claude if you're running different businesses, or maybe you just have a personal hobby and you want to use Claude for your business as well. You can use what are called projects. So I'll show you what those look like. When you're in Claude Cowork, you can just come over here and there's a little tab here called projects. When you click project, it actually makes an entire new subset of Claude. So we would just hit start from scratch. This is where you can name it and give it instructions. So we can say test, this is a test for Claude training, and we'll go ahead and hit create. And then you'll see here, this is a separate entity from all of your other conversations in Claude. Claude is super powerful because it has a memory. And so it continues to build kind of a picture of you and actually builds what's called a memory file, a .md file. Every time you use Claude, it's kind of taking tidbits and making this profile of who you are so it can make better content for you. Well, in this, we're going to have a project, and so everything is separate. The memory is only from this chat, and it's completely separate from your usual conversations in Claude. So this works really well for me because I have multiple projects that are client-based, and one is in insurance, life insurance. So I don't want Claude to get confused and say, well, why is Jam AI all of a sudden offering life insurance? When I work in a project, it's completely separate and none of that ever gets mixed. All right, so when we're talking about AI and learning Claude, it's a little bit about learning the tool, but it's also learning about changing your habits and rewiring your brain. You've probably been doing something a certain way for a long time, and I have too. And it's been really interesting just to learn how to relearn new habits. So interestingly enough, I've been in sales and marketing for the past 20 years inside agencies, and I do a lot of business development. I've always had a specific way that I do it. I look for partners and then I look for prospects. And I have a certain number of people per day that I try to reach out to. Well, sometimes I'll sit down with my coffee in the morning and say, oh, better get to my prospecting. And then I realize, oh yeah, I use AI now, it's already done. So you can create these habits that you do. They're called routines in Claude Code, and they're called skills inside Claude. So you teach Claude a job one time, and it continues to use that specific skill or prompt over and over again. So a skill is a repetitive thing that you do that you can teach Claude how to do, so it does it for you. A routine is where it schedules that skill in what's called a cron job, and it continues to do that skill at a certain time of day every day. So I'll show you one of mine. One of mine is running my blog, right? So I'll go to routines, and you can see I have all these routines here. So daily blog publish. Every day at 7 a.m., I have a blog that gets published. So I use a folder structure called Obsidian. That's for another day. And I have all of the blogs that I want written for the next 60 days. It pulls the blogs from there. It goes to Claude. Claude then publishes to my website because it owns my website. Well, it doesn't own it, it has access to it. And then if you're not ready for Claude Code yet, you can go to either chat or cowork, and you'll find something called customize. And inside customize, you'll just go down here and you can see skills. So these are all the skills that I've created that are repetitive processes for Claude. And so I'll literally just pick on one and it'll continue to do that exact thing in Claude. So let me show you how that works. All you do is do the backslash and then you'll look for your exact skill. So I'll do round table. And now it's going to pull my round table together where it brings basically Alex Hermosi, Gary Vee, Brene Brown, and Amy Porterfield, and they give me advice on whatever I need. So this is just a great example of a skill. All right, so you've really nailed it. We've learned a lot about Claude today. You learned how to set up your account. You learned what Claude is. You learned about chat, cowork, and code. I showed you what projects and skills are. And while this is a lot of information and you could totally go rock it, I highly suggest you do my Zero to Claude training. It's 5 to 10 minutes a day. Some people get it all done in like 2 or 3 hours, but 5 to 10 minutes a day for 30 days will change your life and it'll change the way you work. For the next 7 days, we are offering a free trial. I highly suggest you give that a try. And I hope to see you inside Club Jam.
Just couldn't wrap my head around the technology. And what I've accomplished since I've joined Jam AI has been phenomenal.
I'll just by saying I know nothing about coding, and this has changed my life. Being a part of Robin's community has completely changed my life.
And I'm doing it way faster. So what I did in 3 months last year, I've done now about 3 weeks time.
This is the business, this is the group, this is the organization to be a part of. Again, I've learned more probably in the last year and a half than I probably would if I wouldn't have been part of it. So I am so thankful to you, Jam, and all your team for everything that you've actually educated me on today. And I'm looking forward to what's ahead.
I was really overwhelmed. Working together and experiencing things together has been instrumental.
And even if it feels over your head, like this community, as you can tell just from this call, we're all very helpful, friendly, like we're here to help each other.